different styles of learning, and yet they all sit in the same classroom with a teacher presenting to them that also have a very specific style of presenting or teaching. We asked Dr. Melodie de Jager what teachers can do to accommodate every learner in their class.
Different learning styles and different teaching styles are actually at the heart of a lot of conflict between teachers and children and parents sometimes, because what is important to you may not be important to somebody else. As a mum, I expected my children to study in absolute silence because I study in silence. And one of my children had to have music on while learning. I couldn't understand it initially. So learning styles refers to the way that your brain prefers to receive information. The brain is a wonderful thing, but it is 100% vulnerable to the quality of information that enters the brain via the senses. And in a learning environment, it's predominantly through what you see, what you hear, or what you do. Unfortunately, in a classroom environment, we do very little, so it actually boils down to what you see and what you hear. And what is fascinating is to know that your eyes turn in different directions to indicate your learning preference. And as a teacher, I found this hugely beneficial when I would work with a child and I ask them a question and their eyes would involuntarily shoot up and I know, oh, this is a visual learner. They need to see. Because if I don't demonstrate something and they don't see, it's much harder for them to learn if I'm just talking. So we would naturally do a mind move to enhance their listening skills. Because in a classroom we talk a lot. A child may have a very strong auditory preference and they therefore would prefer to turn their eyes towards the ears, indicating the preference for auditory input. So if they don't switch on their eyes to read or to write, they may be very hesitant to do their homework or to read or write, and obviously that will impact on task completion and performance in the end. The kinesthetic learners, I have such a soft spot for the kinesthetic learners. They are the ones that want to touch and do. They want to learn with their whole body. Primary school and high school teaching does not favor kinesthetic learning. So they have to switch on their ears, they have to switch on their eyes. And it doesn't matter whether you're left or right brain dominant, your whole brain needs to be involved in the learning environment. And that's why I would stimulate the one side of the brain, stimulate the other side, and then put them all together. So if you're a kinesthetic learner, the chances are very good that you may end up on medication because you may come across as a hyperactive or a child with attention deficit. It's not necessarily true, but we need to just take cognizance of it, that when a child is very kinesthetic, we can help that child to become visual and auditory with the necessary stimulation. You don't have to be a victim of your learning style, but it's important that you actually know your learning style, because that may be the reason why learning is not as much fun as it's supposed to be.